I recently came up with a list of five blockbuster trade targets for the Atlanta Falcons, and I think all of them are relatively in the realm of possibilities. But I want to ask you, of these five guys, Alex, which one do you think is the most likely? You got T. Higgins, you got Brandon Ayuk, two wide receivers, then you got Khalil Mack and Hassan Reddick, two pass rushers, and then you have L'Jarius Sneed, who we've already talked about several times on the show. Which one do you think is the most likely? Obviously, you've been connected to Sneed, but I think all these guys are potential candidates.
I was gonna go with L'Jarius Sneed because of that. Like, the Falcons have actually checked in, so you can't ignore that. That is, a big part in all of this. Obviously, all three positions are positions of need, so that's why they're all plausible. And I think, if I had to rank them, I would go L'Jarius Sneed, Khalil Mack, Hassan Reddick, and then the two wide receivers. I do think the Bengals are either going to, let T play on the franchise tag or try and extend him, which I don't necessarily agree with. But, when have the Bengals really done anything right besides draft Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase? I think for a couple of reasons, Khalil Mack is honestly could be 1A, 1B with L'Jarius Sneed. And it's because like the Falcons obviously have not had that premier pass rusher since John Abraham. Khalil Mack seemingly aging like fine wine. He just had the best year of his career at 33 years old, and he doesn't have a lot of contract left to trade for. Whereas a guy like L'Jarius Sneed, T. Higgins, all the rest of the guys you named are expecting a new deal. So if you trade for them, it would behoove Terry Fontenot in Atlanta to extend them rather immediately. You wouldn't acquire them without the plan to extend him, is my point. And Khalil Mack is not the case. So it's not, the risk associated with Khalil Mack is much less than some of the other guys. And Khalil Mack is going to cost maybe a day two pick, maybe, because the Chargers are in a place where they might just have to release him. So, you could get Khalil Mack at dirt cheap.
It would be like a third rounder at most.
I'd say
maybe a fourth or a fifth.
I'd say a fourth or fifth.
They saved $23 million by moving off of them. I think Khalil Mack makes a lot of sense. L'Jarius Sneed, I know there's been reports about the connection between them. We'll see if there's any fire to that smoke. I mean, we hear reports about everything that never come to fruition. And I still think it's weird that there's the potential, if you go out there and trade a day two or a second round pick for L'Jarius Sneed, that you are paying you're going to pay two corners top dollar, $20 million each around that. That is not something that a lot of teams do. I'm not saying it's not the correct use of funds, but if you're trying to go out there and get a guy like Kirk Cousins, I mean, now you're really talking about not having a lot of money to spend. So I'm a little more hesitant on that. I also don't think cornerback is the biggest need. I think Phillips, D. Alford, you go out there and find someone else, that can just be a number two. I think you can find value out there, even though I don't love the cornerback class.
I think that what should be noted is, yes, paying two cornerbacks 20 top of the market contract isn't really a wise use of funds. But in that same breath, if you kind of think of wide receivers and cornerbacks in that same breath, they're around the same price target. You draft a wide receiver. Now you got two wide receivers on rookie contracts and Drake London and let's just say a Malik Neighbors. You have the ability to kind of maybe spend a little bit more, where you were going to go out and sign a Calvin Ridley or Darnell Mooney to a $15+ million deal to $20 million. You're spending it on a cornerback and you got a wide receiver on a rookie contract. So,
yeah, I mean, I don't know how much money those guys are going to get in free agency. T. Higgins or Brandon Ayuk. I'm leaning towards both of them sticking with their team. I think the Bengals should trade T. Higgins.
I think the 49ers will just figure out a way.
The 49ers have so much money that they're going to have to pay to some of these guys. And Brock Purdy's not going to be on a rookie quarterback forever. That's why they've been able to pay all these guys enormous amounts of monies, and they've kicked the can. They're just like the Buffalo Bills. In about a year, you're going to have to see the 49ers do the same thing. Now, if I were them, listen, you basically had the team to win a Super Bowl. You've been right there. I would even, just make him play on his fifth-year option, franchise tag him. That's not even a situation you really have to worry about right now. I'm not letting a guy like Brandon Ayuk walk out the building when you're this close to a Super Bowl and you still have Brock Purdy on a rookie contract. So I don't think that's something that happens this year, even though it might happen in the future. But if they are going to part ways with a wide receiver, it should be Deebo Samuel, not Brandon Ayuk. Ayuk's the number one in that offense. Khalil Mack, Hassan Reddick. I think those are the two that I'll go with. I just think one of them. I think Hassan Reddick, I heard a second-round pick. I'd be down. I mean, this is a guy that's still in the prime. He's coming off 4 straight years where he's had at least 11 sacks. I know he's been playing on the Eagles, but he also was doing that in Arizona too. So Arizona didn't have a world-beating defensive line. He was basically the only guy on it. So
who was I'm blanking on who the GM was that drafted Hassan Reddick and asked him to be an off-ball linebacker. Steve Keim? I think it was Steve Keim. What an idiot, that guy.
Well, the
best thing he did for that organization was draft Kyler Murray and then get fired. That was the best thing he did for that organization.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy, you just said it. He's a perennial double-digit sack guy, and asked him to do it.
They turned him into a pass rusher, and all of a sudden he was turned into a superstar.
Brian Kelly's doing the same thing with Harold Perkins. I'm going to pull my oh my gosh, I'm going to have a
talk about a 2025 draft prospect we're going to be raving about. I'm just letting you guys know. You won't stop hearing his name on this show. Harold Perkins is going to be an absolute stud. Coming up after the break, Will Ferrell. What's his best movie? We're going to discuss it.